Sverre Nypan's time with Middlesbrough could come to an end this month, with Man City unlikely to be happy at how his loan spell with Middlesbrough has panned out. Now, Nypan joined Manchester City in the summer for a fee worth £12.5 million. He joined from Norwegian side Rosenborg, where he made 70 appearances for the club and emerged as one of Europe's top midfield talents. Now, as the next step of his development, Man City took the decision to allow him to leave on loan. They handpicked Middlesbrough as the best place for him to go, given the club's links in recent years. Of course, Middlesbrough signed people like Mika Hamilton, people like Morgan Rogers as well. And so there's a real trust there that Middlesbrough would be the perfect place for Svere Nypan to continue that journey, adapt to life in England and take that next step in his career. But things haven't really worked out for Svere Nypan at Middlesbrough. So far, since he's joined the club, he's made 19 appearances in the Championship, but in that time, he's only started 3 games. So 3 of 19 games have come in the starting lineup, with 16 of them coming off the bench. He's only played 600 odd minutes of first team football for Middlesbrough, and that's just, it's not going to be what Manchester City are looking for. I think with a player this talented, Man City will undoubtedly have been looking for him to be going out and playing regular first team football. They do not want him to be going out and sitting on the bench, because quite frankly, he could be doing that with Man City. And so Middlesbrough could be in a position where the player is taken off them during the January transfer window. Now, Nypan has joined on a season-long loan deal, so contractually he's with Middlesbrough until the end of the season, but Man City, according to Craig Johns at Teesside Live, they do have the option to recall him this month if they're not happy with how it's gone. Now, for me, this seems like a situation which could well come to a head this month. I can't imagine that Man City are pleased with how this loan spell's going, starting just 3 games so far this season. It's not a player who is, I guess, challenging for a place in the starting lineup. He's not someone who's being rotated or managed effectively. He's someone who, quite frankly, is usually being a sub. In the most recent match against Southampton, he came on in the 90th minute and played just a couple of minutes on the pitch. And so I think for Middlesbrough, that is a situation which could well be resolved this month, with Man City taking a decision out of their hands and recalling him. Now, for Nypan, that could be a case of him heading back to Man City and then going out on loan again for the second half of the season. There was suggestions at the back end of last year that clubs like Preston were interested in signing him on loan, and potentially that could offer him a more secure platform to play his football, a place where he could be playing regular first team football. But for Middlesbrough, it could leave us a little bit vulnerable this month. I think for Nypan, he is someone who can play in a number of positions for Middlesbrough. He can play in central midfield, he can play as a number 10, he can play as a wide player. But I think if you ask Middlesbrough supporters, he just hasn't really done enough to nail down that place in the starting 11. Yes, he's only started 3 games so far this season, but I think when you actually watch him and when you watch Middlesbrough's team, he's not someone who has showed enough in large enough doses to really secure that spot in the team. He's clearly a very talented player. Technically, he's very good. Physically, he's quite good as well, but he does tend to go missing, and that is a situation which, yeah, Kim Hellberg will be monitoring. He will be obviously watching him in training and seeing what he's capable of doing. And it's quite difficult because given that he's not really playing a huge amount of football, given that a lot of his appearances are cameo appearances as well, he's not really been given that sort of opportunity to play regularly, to kind of find his stride in what is a new club, a new league and a new country as well. Of course, his only experience so far has been in Norway, where, yes, he played for Rosenborg and he's played like a number of matches for them, played 70 appearances, scored 14 goals in the top flight, got 8 assists. He's got a senior cap for Norway, so he's clearly a player of real pedigree. But just with Middlesbrough, it just hasn't really happened for him. And so for Kim Hellberg, it may well be a case that Svere Nypan is sent back to Manchester City and that he may have to go out and find another midfielder who could replace him. So I think as far as this loan spell's gone, I don't think anyone will really be completely happy with how it's gone. I think the Middlesbrough will have been hoping that they would have a player who would be more capable of playing a key role in the first team, that we would start to see some of that potential and some of that quality that Svere Nypan's undoubtedly got. In my opinion, he's clearly a player who's going to go on to have a very, very good career with Manchester City or elsewhere. He's only 19 years of age. He only turned 19 last month in December. So he is someone who is still very, very young. His time is still very much on his side. But of course, for Middlesbrough, he's not Middlesbrough's player. So Middlesbrough don't have that opportunity to bide their time with him. he is someone who Middlesbrough will be hoping to could make an immediate impact this season, really show his quality. And just so far this season, he hasn't really done it. He hasn't been able to break into that central midfield area. Typically, it's been Hayden Hackney, Aidan Morris, Alan Brown in that area. Of course, we've had Alex Gilbert more recently playing there as well. But the fact that Alex Gilbert's getting more game time than Sverre Nypan is quite telling. In that area of the pitch, he has also been played as a left-sided player, a slightly more offensive left winger. But even then, he's kind of fallen down the pecking order with Delano Bergsall preferred there. Riley McGree, when he's fit, probably being the first choice. Sonjay Hansen ahead of him in the pecking order. Even a couple of games ago, Mika Hamilton was selected in that role in the starting lineup ahead of him. Yes, Nypan came on at half-time in that match, but it just kind of shows that Nypan is a player who is not quite in the manager's thinking in terms of being a starting 11 player. He is someone who's clearly talented, can play in a number of roles, but is perhaps just not showing what he's capable of on a consistent enough basis to be in the team. So what do Middlesbrough do from here? Well, as I said, the matter is probably out of Middlesbrough's hands. If Man City aren't happy with how the loan spell's going, they will recall him. He could well then stay with Man City. He could then go on loan elsewhere. But for Middlesbrough, they will be having to watch this situation. If Nypan leaves, they may well look to replace him. They may well need to sign another midfielder on loan, someone who can play in central midfield or in a couple of different roles. They may choose not to. They may choose to use that spot in the squad for another striker, for example. That's a key position that Middlesbrough will need to strengthen. But I think for me, it would be disappointing if he went back to Man City, because I'm someone who I love seeing young players given an opportunity. I love seeing young players improving and showing what they're capable of. And I think just with Svere Nypan, he is someone who has clear potential, clear quality. And so you can just see him becoming a star in the years ahead. It's just a little bit frustrating that it hasn't quite happened with him so far with Middlesbrough. And the Middlesbrough fans haven't seen the best from him. He started very, very well, showed some real glimpses of quality. He does show little moments where you can see that he's a really good player, but perhaps just due to the fact that he's not playing regularly enough in the first team, he's just not really finding that momentum, not really hitting his stride, and ultimately that's why Middlesbrough fans are being left a little bit frustrated by what they're seeing from a lone player. Yes, he's young, he's going to be inconsistent as a result of that, but in a season when Middlesbrough are challenging for promotion, we are wanting to get into the top two. We don't really have the time to be patient. We do need players who are performing week in, week out, and quite frankly, Svere Nypan he's just not quite that. He's not really nailed down that spot in the team, and so that is why ultimately why Man City could look to recall him and send him elsewhere. So it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks with regards to Svere Nypan and his future. Of course, we'll have all of the updates here on what's going on with him. If you have enjoyed this video, please do hit like, please do hit subscribe, drop into the comments below. Let me know what you think of how Nypan has got on with Middlesbrough and whether you'd like to see him stay for the second half of the season. And I will catch up with you next time.